Then I would know. By morning, the improvement was so noticeable, and I was so free in my mind, that I was certain, and reported to my friend, that the healing had taken place. The memory of that healing, and the presence of Christ are as fresh in my mind today as then. That was 15 years ago, and my health steadily improved until I am in excellent condition now. In many heart cases the therapy of faith, a quiet, serene faith in Jesus Christ, undoubtedly stimulates healing. People who experience a heart attack who thereupon thoroughly and completely practice faith in Christ as healing grace, observing at the same time the rules prescribed by their physicians, report remarkable recovery histories. Perhaps such a person may even gain a greater degree of health than previously for having learned his limitations, and, realizing the excess strains he has been placing upon himself, now conserves his strength. But more than that, he has learned one of the greatest techniques of human well-being, that of surrendering himself to the recuperative power of God. This is done by consciously attaching himself to the creative process through mentally conceiving of recreative forces as operating within himself. The patient opens his consciousness to the tides of vitality and recreative energy inherent in a universe which have been barred from his life through tension, high pressure, and other departures from the laws of well-being. An outstanding man suffered a heart attack about 35 years ago. He was told that he would never be able to work again. The orders were that he must spend much of his time in bed. He would likely be an invalid to the remainder of his days, which days would be relatively few in number, so he was informed. It is doubtful whether such statements would be made to him in present-day medical practice. At any rate, he listened to these dire prophecies about his future, and considered them carefully. One morning he awakened early, and picked up his Bible and by chance, or was it chance, opened it to the account of one of the healings of Jesus. He also read the statement, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, and today and forever. He 13:8, it occurred to him that, if Jesus could and did heal people long ago, and that if he is the same as he was then, why couldn't he heal today? Why cannot Jesus heal me? He asked. Then faith welled up within him. Therefore, with simple confidence, he asked the Lord to heal him. He seemed to hear Jesus say, "Believest thou that I can do this?" And his answer was, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you can." He closed his eyes and seemed to feel the touch of the healing Christ upon his heart. All that day he had a strange sense of rest. As the days passed he became convinced that there was a rising tide of strength within him. Finally one day he prayed, "Lord, if it is your will, tomorrow morning I am going to get rest, go outside, and within a few days I am going back to work. I put myself completely in your care. If I should die tomorrow as a result of the increased activity, I want to thank you for all the wonderful days I have had. With you to help me, I shall start out tomorrow, and you will be with me all day long. I believe I will have sufficient strength, but if I should die as a result of this effort, I will be with you in eternity, and all will be well in either case." In this calm faith he increased his activities as the days passed. He followed this formula every day for the entire period of his active career, which numbered 30 years from the date of his heart attack. He retired at 75. Few men I have known have been more vigorous in their undertakings, or have made a greater contribution to human welfare. Always, however, he conserved his physical and nervous strength. It was invariably his habit to lie down and rest after lunch, and he never allowed himself to get under stress. He was early to bed and early up, always employing rigorous and disciplinary rules of living. In all his activities there was an absence of worry, resentment, and tension. He worked hard but easily. The doctors were right. Had he continued according to the debilitating habits of his earlier life, he would probably have long since been dead, or at least an invalid. The advice of the physicians brought him to the point where the healing work of Christ could be accomplished. Without the heart attack he would not have been mentally or spiritually ready for healing. Another friend of mine, a prominent businessman, suffered a heart attack. For weeks he was confined to his bed, but presently returned to his important responsibilities, where he now accomplishes all that he ever did previously, but with much less tension. He seems to possess a new power that he did not enjoy before. His recovery proceeded from a definite and scientific spiritual approach to his health problem. He had competent physicians, and followed their directions explicitly, which is an important factor in such situations. In addition to the program of medication and treatment, however, he worked out a spiritual healing formula. He outlined it as follows, writing from the hospital: "An intimate friend of mine, only 25 years old, was brought into the hospital with an attack similar to mine and died within 4 hours. 2 acquaintances of mine have suffered a similar fate in rooms nearby. It must be that I have work yet to do. So I shall return and apply myself to the tasks before me with the expectation of living longer and more abundantly than I might have done without this experience." The doctors were wonderful, the nurses grand, the hospital ideal. He then proceeds to outline the technique of spiritual convalescence which he employed. The formula consists of 3 parts. 1. During the first stages, when absolute rest was demanded, I heeded the admonition of the psalmist, "Be still and know that I am God." Quote, PS 46:10, that is to say, he completely relaxed and rested in the hands of God. 2. As the days grew brighter, I used the affirmation, "Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." Left parenthesis PS 27:14, the patient put his heart under the care of God and God placed his hand of healing upon his heart and renewed it. 3. Finally with the return of strength came a new assurance and confidence to which I gave expression in the affirmation, "I can do all things through Christ which strengthened me." Left parenthesis PHP 413, in this he affirmed positively that strength was being conferred upon him, and in so doing he received new power. In this 3-point formula this man found healing. The able ministrations of his physicians conserved and stimulated the healing forces of his physical being. The equally wise application of faith completed his recovery by stimulating the spiritual powers within its nature. The 2 therapies together draw upon the 2 great renewal forces within our life, one the recuperative power of the human body, and the other the restorative forces resident within the mind. One responds to medical treatment, the other to faith treatment, and God presides in both areas. He made both body and mind, and he established the processes of health and well-being governing both. In him we live, and move and have our being. Acts 17:28, in the prevention of sickness, and in healing mind and body, do not fail to draw upon one of the greatest resources available to you, the faith that heals. In the light of the principles outlined in this chapter, what can you do of a constructive nature, when a loved one or you are ill? Following are 8 practical suggestions. 1. Follow the advice of a prominent medical school head who said, "In sickness, send for your ministry even as you send for your doctor." In other words, believe that spiritual forces as well as medical technique are important in healing. 2. Pray for the doctor. Realize that God uses trained human instrumentality to aid his healing powers. As one doctor has put it, we treat the patient and God heals him. Pray, therefore, that the doctor may be an open channel of God's healing grace. 3. Whatever you do, do not become panicky or filled with fear, for if you do, you will send out negative thoughts, and therefore destructive thoughts in the direction of your loved one, when he requires positive and healing thoughts to assist him. 4. Remember that God does nothing except by law. Also remember that our little materialistic laws are only fragmentary revelations of the great power flowing through the universe. Spiritual law also governs illness. God has arranged 2 remedies for all illness. One is healing through natural laws applicable by science, and the other brings healing by spiritual law applicable through faith. 5. Completely surrender your loved one into the hands of God. By your faith you can place him in the flow of divine power. There is healing there, but in order for it to be effective the patient must be completely released to the operation of God's will. This is difficult to understand, and equally difficult to perform, but it is a fact that if the great desire for the loved one to live is matched with an equally great willingness to relinquish him to God, healing powers are amazingly set in motion. 6. It is also important that harmony prevail in the family, that is, a spiritual harmony. Remember the emphasis in the scripture, Mountain 18:19. If 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. Apparently disharmony and disease are akin. 7. Form a picture in your mind of the loved one as being well. Visualize him in perfect health. Picture him as radiant with the love and goodness of God. The conscious mind may suggest sickness, even death, but 9/10 of your mind is in the subconscious. Let the picture of health sink into the subconscious, and this powerful part of your mind will send forth radiant health energy. What we believe in the subconscious we usually get. Unless your faith controls the subconscious, you will never get any good thing, for the subconscious gives back only that which your real thought is. If the real thought is negative, the results will also be negative. If the real thought is positive, you will get positive and healing results. 8. Be perfectly natural. Ask God to heal your loved one. That is what you want with all your heart, so ask him please to do it, but we suggest that you say please just once. Thereafter in your prayer, thank him for his goodness. This affirmative being will help to release deep spiritual power, and also joy through reassurance of God's loving care. This joy will sustain you, and remember that joy itself possesses healing power. When vitality sags, try this health formula. A woman, so I have heard, went into a drugstore and asked for a bottle of psychosomatic medicine. Such medicine, of course, is not found on drugstore shelves, for it does not come in pills or bottles. But there is a psychosomatic medicine just the same, and many of us need it. It is a prescription compounded of prayer, faith, and dynamic spiritual thinking. It has been variously computed that from 50 to 75% of present-day people are ill, because of the influence of improper mental states on their emotional and physical makeup. Therefore such a medicine is of great importance. Many people who are below par will find that there is a health formula which, in addition to the services of their physician, can be of great value to them. The manner in which spiritual and emotional treatment can restore declining vitality is illustrated by the sales manager referred to us by the head of a large company.